Pennsylvania's election has been delayed due to legal disputes over mail-in voting. Monday should have been the first day counties across the battleground state could begin mailing ballots. But the Democratic Party there has been fighting to get the Green Party off the ballot. As a result, the legal document has not yet been certified. For more on this, Zak Hudak joins me from near the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia. Zak is a CBS News campaign reporter. Hi there, Zak. Good to see you. You're there in Philadelphia, near where President Trump taped his town hall earlier. What are protesters there saying?
Elaine, there were a few hundred protesters that came out here in Philadelphia, just in front of Independence Hall down there and just down the street from the National Constitution Center where Donald Trump taped his ABC town hall earlier tonight. We talked to some of those protesters, and overwhelmingly what they were saying is that they had personal stories that drove them out here today to try to send a message to the president. One of them talked about her husband dying earlier this year from coronavirus, and she blames the president's slow response to the pandemic and his playing the pandemic down for his death. Another of them, shortly after the president was elected, said that she was accosted by Trump supporters who used the N-word on her, and she connects the two events and thinks that they were kind of legitimized in their beliefs when he was elected. And another woman we spoke with said that she has never voted before, but in this election she will be voting for Joe Biden because she just cannot take the president anymore.
Interesting. Well, Zak, we know that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ordered the Secretary of State not to certify the ballot in Pennsylvania. Why?
Elaine, that's because the Supreme Court is deciding whether the Green Party will be on the ballot or not. There was a Commonwealth Court, the one step down lower court here, that deals with most elections issues, and they decided that the Green Party's presidential nominee, but not vice presidential nominee, could be on the ballot. The question here is whether they properly certified their nomination, whether they sent in a candidate affidavit. Now, for the Green Party's presidential candidate, the person who actually was initially nominated a stand-in candidate, that is typical with small parties in states like Pennsylvania, she faxed her ballot in, and it actually wasn't printed until after the deadline. So lawyers argued that that was not an official certification and they needed to be taken off the ballot. The VP candidate never sent in an affidavit. So the Commonwealth Court judge ruled the presidential candidate could be on the ballot, the VP candidate could not, and now it is back up to the Supreme Court who will make the decision. Until they do, they've told the Secretary of State, do not certify the ballot, no ballots will be printed here.
Well, how would having the Green Party on the ballot potentially change the election there?
Elaine, the Green Party candidate in 2016, Jill Stein, got more votes here than Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton by. Presumably, the majority of those voters would not have been casting ballots for Republican, but for the Democrat. For that reason, Democrats in the state worry about candidates like this year, Howie Hawkins, who could suck up some votes that Joe Biden would otherwise get. Now, the Democratic Party is not officially behind this lawsuit. It is two local politicians, two local Democrats, but the lawyer representing them is a guy, Clifford Levin out of Pittsburgh, who generally represents the state Democratic Party on elections issues. So although the Democratic Party is not directly connected, they sort of have fingerprints on this case.
So, okay, well, what does having to wait to print mail-in ballots actually mean for county elections offices there?
Elaine, it isn't quite yet a huge deal. These counties are dealing with an influx of mail-in ballots like they've never seen. This is the first year that any Pennsylvanian could vote by mail without an excuse. And that, coupled with the pandemic, led to 17-fold as many people voting in the in the primary as they did in the 2016 primary. Elections officials are now expecting that number to double. That creates a massive workload because while elections officials are running an in-person election, they're also counting these mail-in ballots. There have already been 1.8 million applications. That is more people than voted by mail in the primary. And basically what this does is it just pushes back the time when counties can get started. Now, Elaine, we should be clear, though, they're not sitting on their hands doing nothing right now. Every county in the state has begun processing the applications that they have. So while they can't print out the ballots and mail them, they can at least figure out who's getting a ballot and get that all set for the date when the Secretary of State finally certifies the ballot and they immediately begin sending them out.
I imagine every bit helps. Well, what other election decisions could Pennsylvania courts make in the coming weeks?
Elaine, the state Supreme Court really has its hands full. They have a lawsuit brought by the state Democratic Party, which asks that mail-in drop boxes be explicitly allowed. That is in large part a response to a federal court case filed by the Trump campaign trying to prevent mail-in drop boxes that is now on hold pending the result of that case. That case would also decide if naked ballots would be counted. Those are ballots that are in the envelope you send it back in, but not in the additional secrecy envelope. There are over 100,000 of those in the primary, so that could have major impacts too. The other big case going on that's currently at the state Supreme Court is whether ballots that are postmarked in time by Election Day, but that are received after Election Day are counted or not. Earlier this summer, the Postal Service warned Pennsylvania, along with 36 other states, that their service timeline was not in line with the timeline set by the state to request and receive ballots. That has a lot of people worried that people will be applying in time to get a ballot, getting their ballot, and then not having enough time to get it back. So the Supreme Court will be deciding, will those ballots that are postmarked by November 3rd, but they come in, say, 3 days after, if those get thrown out or if they get counted? That was over 100,000 ballots in the primary. So we're talking about many, many more ballots in the general that could be.
All right, no shortage of things for you to keep track of, including naked ballots. Never heard of that before. All right, Zak Hudak for us. Zak, always good to see you. Thank you very much.